series of experiences, good, bad, trials, tribulations, and victories, defeats, and that's what constitutes life.
Area is just simply fantastic. You've got a situation where you have youngsters who are committed to the task of learning something about this whole exciting area of telecommunications technology.
Excitement surrounding the effectiveness of relay has spread through cities throughout North Carolina. Yet, the best illustration of the effectiveness of relay comes from and is characterized by some of the many students who have gone on to become productive citizens of North Carolina or are currently in pursuit of college-based careers.
The decision-making, the planning, the cooperation, these are lifelong developmental skills that we are after. And the byproduct is the television show.
And I think if you take a look at what the students are doing and the level of performance that they have and the professionalism that they have at these ages, they'll say a lot about how well they'll be doing when they reach adulthood.
It's like all a team. If one person not working together, it throws the whole thing off. Without relay right now, I don't know where I've been. I wouldn't have had my internship at the radio station, nor the TV station. Better yet, I'll just be like another kid just sitting around, just where it might be on the street.
Every week, a group of Triad students produce their own TV show at the Greensboro Cablevision studio. Their guests have included Michael Jordan, Harvey Gantt, and Wally Famous Amos.
And he was very adamant at times about if he thought it was right and relate to the students. He's always been student-oriented, students' rights. He's always been that way.
The black students would start throwing their fists, Black Power sign in the air, and we were hollering, Ungawa, Black Power, Ungawa, Black Power. And even though we were outnumbered 10-1 by the number of white students in the stands compared to us black students, we would drown them out because they would get quiet to hear what we were saying.
There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind.
That is part of the legacy of what upset not just me. Like I said, this is not a Ted Mangum story per se. This is a story of growing up black in the South.
His face was grotesque. You could see eyes, but you couldn't really distinguish all of his facial features. That's how much violence he had been subjected to. And its mother's presence in the photo is really important because she's really giving witness to victimization and violence.
Here I am trying to digest as a 6 or 7-year-old what just happened, looking at this little boy in the coffin. And a couple of years later, I end up watching the news and seeing what became known as the Little Rock, Arkansas 9.
Sir, do you think the college students will show up? If I got anything to do with it, they won't show up. Well, I think it's a breaking point of the school integration. I just don't feel that they have a right to go to school with them.
It is easy to believe today that we are an enlightened society, free from problems of race, gender, or economic separation. But some of the most difficult lessons we learn are a result of individuals who push us through these divisive barriers. In September of 1957, 9 black school children, the eldest only 17, forced us through such a blockade. They sought a better education for themselves and the opportunity to pursue the American dream.
This is Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas. Troops, which for nearly 3 weeks lined the sidewalk here in front of the high school under orders to keep the colored students out, have been replaced now. And their orders to comply with the law, which means let the Negro students in if they...
And they were just being harassed and threatened, and if they could have got one, as one of the participants said, if we could hang one, the others will go home.
Human instinct tells you to stay on that ground, don't move. Return fire, don't move. You can get killed. None of us, in our wildest dreams, had any idea of what we had actually stumbled into.
It was impossible to walk away from that wall and not feel some level of sadness, gratitude, just all emotions. And of course, I wasn't the only veteran to break down.
He was a fine man, a good leader, yet he could not understand the whys of this conflict which killed him.
A whole lot of graves. They got so many graves here, they don't have enough more space for any more veterans.
They will say he died for his country, keeping it free. Negative. This country is no game that I can see, Dad. We're fighting, dying for a people who resent our being over here.
Reinforced psychologically when people encounter stress on the level that you did, combat stress, when they come back to a situation where, I like that metaphor, a building fell down on you and now you're stuck on the inside.
Yeah. I try not to think about it. Because when you think about it, then I get like this. And it's not, I don't, yeah. So, yeah, everyone deals with their own way. I try to hide it. I try not to think about it because I got to stay 100%. I got to keep a good example in front of the other soldiers. I'm sorry.
You're stuck on the inside. Those are all your symptoms. Those are all the things, avoidance, hypervigilance, all of those things that, the nightmares, the intrusive thoughts, all of that is the stuff that dropped down on you in that period of time. That's what you began to feel.
And then it hit him. What if he helped other kids build meaningful lives? Wouldn't that give them the incentive to make the right decisions for their future as he did? Ted Mangum resolved that day to try. And 10 years later, here is the result of that resolution. 33 young people at work, broadcasting Greensboro City Council meetings on cable television. They also create video presentations for business and documentaries using equipment Mangum bought.
We give them opportunity to first build their self-esteem by being able to master a lot of very complicated equipment.
As I think about the relay program and the benefits that might come from it, it's a win-win situation. Some have even said win-win-win. The win is, number one, and most importantly, I think, is the young people are having an opportunity to learn a skill. They're having an opportunity to interact with role models. Those would be the returning soldiers, and the win for the soldiers on their behalf is, again, going back to this growth phenomenon, to recognize that they are interacting with the kids in such a way that the children or the young people are preparing for their futures, they're gaining the skill, but simultaneously the soldier is getting some kind of positive reinforcement, again, that function of altruism that we talked about as a vehicle towards growth. So it's a win-win in that regard. And then ultimately, when you look at it, it's a win for the community.
More and more people are watching it, and more people comment that they were glad to see this was done or that was done and so forth. So I think it's a real plus for the community.
And I think that we have to have programs that intercede and turn that child around, get that child involved in a positive manner.
Do you have your script? She's typing. You wrote it last night.
Ted really first conceived the idea of relay back when we were in school at A&T State University. He didn't have any serious financial backers. He just had a dream. And that dream was, of course, to try to take these children who were being pushed out by the educational process and to give them some reason to participate in the educational process and go on to become fruitful and productive citizens here in the state.
Yes, how you doing this morning? Okay.
In addition to video projects, Relay also works with local literacy programs.
TED and Relay are part of the Reading is Fundamental program, and RIF is how it's known, and they give away books to children in low-income communities, and the library's been very supportive of that because we feel like that every child should have a library in their own home, and that just makes them more likely to use the public library when they know the value of books and have them in the home, and Ted has been doing that for several years. He himself dropped out, and he knows how much motivation it takes for somebody to stay in school and to keep learning, and he knows that you've got to design programs that will motivate kids, that appeal to what they're already interested in. That's directly from his own life experience, and that's what I think makes him so effective at what he does.
So Parkway was really more than a business. It was a response to a need for students, a need to our community, and it filled a gap in most of the things that I was able to conceptualize and implement were in response to a need.
And I think some of the things that we were able to achieve with Parkway kind of helped make that possible in terms of A&T being accredited.
But when they came down to interview us, they sent a video crew, and they interviewed us as if we were doing a video article. But when they found out that Ebony was doing such an extensive story on us, they decided not to run. I guess they didn't want to show up second to Ebony with the same article. So what they did, they packaged it and sold it to ABC News. So we ended up on being the lead story on the Evening News with Frank Reynolds.
And we have some tools that we want to expose them to so that they can be prepared for the world of tomorrow.
One thing, but there's more to the Relay program. The more being getting kids interested in education overall.
2005, 4, 3, 1. I was given a book to read, and if I read that book, I would come back and be on the show. And I came back and I read the book, and I seen that there was a lot of young people producing the show, and I decided I wanted to be a part of that organization. And I learned how to direct, run camera. I even had an internship at Fox 8 at the age of 12, and also had an internship at WMV, all by being a part of Relay.
My name is Asia McLean. I'm a former Relay student, probably before I was a teen, and it's been a huge influence on my life. I actually moved to Los Angeles pursuing the dream of getting into the entertainment business.
The quarter pounder with cheese extra value meal, just $5.
I don't see him. Try the dining room. Nope. How about the kitchen cabinet next to the stove? Yep, got him.
Yes! Thousands of name brands up to 75% off MSRP.
And a lot of that is due to Ted Mangum and the Relay program. I loved being a part of Relay. I learned so much. I always wanted to be behind the camera, running camera, or doing editing, or being the director. I actually was always the one to be in front of the camera, and looking back on it now, it was a blessing, because I am pursuing my dream in Los Angeles, so that I can be in front of the camera all the time. However, I do actually have a production company, Still Waiting Productions, and we produce a web series called Dating Games LA. And all of the tools that I use in the show, or to create the show, was from Relay. Knowing that a TV show isn't just people on television. There's so many more things that are involved in that. You learn about editing, you learn about directing, you learn about getting the people to come in, having them know their stuff, and being able to translate that in a positive way on camera. It was a huge influence in my life, and it's definitely been helpful for me being out here and having my own business, in a sense, to bring that to other people. I think it's an amazing program.
And I think it's important for young people to be a part of Relay Incorporated, because it does so many good things toward preparing them for life later. As an example, it helps them to become more disciplined. It certainly helps them to understand that in order to be successful, they have to work hard toward a goal. It helps them in the sense of understanding that if you're going to be successful in life, you have to prepare yourself. Those are the same kinds of things that are taught in school.
You know, I got to UNC, I was like, you know, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to get education. I'm here to succeed, because that's the only way that's what Relay was about. It wasn't about videotaping, it was about information technology. You know, who would have thought, 15, 20 years later, the world could be based upon information technology. And that's because when the internet came out, we were all like ahead of all of our peers. We all knew what was going on. With the digital age, we were like leagues beyond the people around it,
When we first joined Relay, we were, my twin brother Evan and I, we were 11 years old. And once we started, we were very intimidated about everything, because everything was high tech and everything was going and everybody knew what they were doing. And we didn't think we'd learn, but everyone taught us. We became friends with everyone in the program. We became, and we gelled as a unit.
We have 30 years of evidence that Relay works. So here you are, from Vietnam to America's Child Relay, replacing the crutches and excuses for failure with the tools for lifelong success.
Nice saying.
It is, and I noticed that the GoFundMe.
And I think it's rather embarrassing to think that Ted is probably making a larger investment in some children than their parents are. And so I think that's the biggest lesson we've got to learn, is setting our priorities. And Ted definitely has his priorities, in shape.